Hello, and welcome to the Slow English Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about something you probably consume every day.
It is dark, it is bitter, and for many of us, it is the only reason we can wake up in the morning. We're talking, of course, about coffee.
But the coffee you drink today is very different from how it started. Did you know that coffee was not originally a drink? Did you know it was once eaten as a ball of fat?
And did you know that for hundreds of years, it was illegal to take a raw coffee bean out of the Middle East? Today, we will tell you the true, dark history of coffee. This is part 1, the forbidden bean.
Let us travel back in time. We're going to the year 850 AD. We are in the highlands of Ethiopia in Africa.
According to the legend, there was a goat herder named Kaldi. Kaldi was a simple man. He watched his goats every day. But one day, he noticed something strange.
His goats were behaving normally in the morning, but after eating some red berries from a strange bush, the goats went crazy.
They were jumping, they were running, they were dancing on their hind legs. They had so much energy that they did not sleep at night.
Kaldi was curious, so he tried the red berries himself. Suddenly, he felt awake. He felt powerful. His heart beat faster. He had discovered the power of caffeine.
But here's the part of the story that most people do not know. When we think of coffee today, we think of a hot liquid in a cup. But for the tribes in Ethiopia, coffee was food.
They did not brew it with water. Instead, they took the coffee berries and crushed them. Then they mixed the crushed coffee with animal fat.
Yes, animal fat. They rolled this mixture into small, round balls. It looked like an energy bar or a protein ball that you might buy at a gym today.
These coffee balls were used as survival food. When the tribes went to war or when they went on long journeys, they carried these balls of fat and caffeine.
It was the perfect fuel. The fat gave them calories for hunger, and the caffeine gave them energy to fight. So the first coffee consumers were not relaxing in a cafe. They were soldiers on the move.
From Ethiopia, the coffee beans traveled across the Red Sea. They arrived in Yemen in the Middle East. This is where coffee transformed from a food into a drink.
The year is now around 1000 AD. In the Islamic world, alcohol is strictly forbidden. Muslims cannot drink wine or beer.
But humans naturally want something to drink together. They want a social beverage. So when coffee arrived, it became very popular. They called it kawa.
The word kawa is interesting. Originally, in Arabic, kawa meant wine. But because coffee gave a similar feeling of energy without the intoxication, it became known as the wine of Araby.
The first people to use liquid coffee were the Sufi monks. These were religious men who prayed late into the night. They drank this dark liquid to stay awake during their long prayers.
Soon, coffee moved out of the mosques and into the streets. Public coffee houses began to open. They were called cafés.
These places were not just for drinking. They were schools of knowledge. People went there to play chess, listen to music, and discuss politics.
They were so popular that they were called schools of the wise. But not everyone was happy. Some leaders thought that people were talking too much about politics. Coffee made people think too much.
Now, let us talk about the monopoly. A monopoly is when one group controls everything. For hundreds of years, the Arabs controlled 100% of the world's coffee.
The port city of Mocha in Yemen was the only place in the world where you could buy coffee, and the Arab traders wanted to keep it that way. They knew that if other countries could grow coffee, the Arabs would lose their power.
So, they created a very strict law. No coffee bean could leave the port of Mocha unless it was dead.
What does that mean? Before export, every single coffee bean had to be boiled in hot water or roasted over a fire. This killed the seed.
If you planted a roasted bean in the ground, nothing would grow. This was a brilliant strategy. It ensured that no one outside of Arabia could ever grow a coffee tree.
This monopoly lasted for centuries until one man decided to break the rules. His name was Baba Budan.
Baba Budan was a Sufi saint from India. Around the year 1600, he went on a pilgrimage to Mecca. While he was in the Middle East, he tasted coffee, and he loved it.
He wanted to take it back to India. But he knew the rules. He knew that the guards at the port searched everyone. If they found raw seeds, he could be killed.
So, Baba Budan came up with a clever plan. He did not put the seeds in his bag. He did not put them in his pocket.
He took 7 raw, red coffee cherries and he hid them in his beard.
He had a long, thick beard. He strapped the 7 seeds to his chest, hidden under the hair. Why 7? Because in his religion, the number 7 was a sacred number.
He walked through the port. The guards searched his bags. They found nothing. Baba Budan walked onto the ship with the future of the coffee industry hidden on his face.
He traveled all the way back to India. He planted those 7 seeds in the hills of Chikmagalur. They grew into healthy trees.
And from those 7 stolen seeds, coffee began its journey to the rest of the world. The Arab monopoly was broken.
But the journey was just beginning. Coffee still had to conquer Europe, and in Europe, the priests were waiting to destroy it.
People were terrified. They had never seen a drink like this before. It was black, it was bitter, and it came from the Islamic world.
The Catholic priests were very angry. They called coffee the bitter invention of Satan. They said that because Muslims did not drink wine, the devil gave them coffee to punish them.
The priests wanted to ban coffee completely. They said that any Christian who drank it was in danger of losing their soul. So they went to the highest authority in the land, the Pope.
At that time, the leader was Pope Clement VIII. The advisors brought him a cup of steaming hot coffee. They expected him to spit it out and curse it.
The Pope took a sip. He paused. He took another sip. Then he smiled.
According to history, the Pope said, "This Satan's drink is so delicious that it would be a pity to let the infidels have exclusive use of it."
Basically, he thought it was too good to ban. So he made a joke. He said, "We shall cheat the devil by baptizing it."
To baptize means to bless something with holy water to make it Christian. So, strictly speaking, the Pope blessed the coffee bean. Suddenly, coffee was no longer a sin. It was approved by God.
With the Pope's blessing, coffee spread across Europe like wildfire. But it changed more than just breakfast. It changed society.
Let us move to London, England in the year 1650. Before coffee, people drank beer or wine for breakfast. This meant that most people were slightly drunk all day long.
When coffee replaced beer, people became sober. They became sharper. They wanted to work and they wanted to talk. This led to the creation of the penny university.
Coffee houses in London were called penny universities. Why? Because the price of admission was 1 penny.
For 1 penny, you could buy a cup of coffee. But more importantly, you could sit and listen to the smartest men in the country.
It was a place of total equality. In a coffee house, a rich merchant sat next to a poor student. A scientist sat next to a poet. If you had a penny, you had a voice.
It was like the internet of the 17th century. It was where news spread. It was where rumors started. Did you know that the huge insurance market, Lloyd's of London, started in a small coffee shop run by Edward Lloyd? Or that the stock exchange began in a coffee house called Jonathan's?
These places were the engines of capitalism and democracy. King Charles II was actually afraid of coffee houses. He tried to close them down because he thought people were plotting against him.
But the king failed. The people loved their coffee too much. However, there was one group of people who hated coffee houses.
The women.
You see, in London at that time, coffee houses were mostly for men. Women were banned.
The men would leave for work in the morning, go to the coffee house, and stay there until late at night. They came home with their minds full of news, but they had no energy for their wives.
The women were furious. They felt neglected. So, in the year 1674, a group of women published a famous document. It was called the Women's Petition Against Coffee.
This is a real historical document, and the language they used was very direct.
They complained that coffee made their husbands talk too much but do too little. They said the men were Frenchifying their tongues, meaning they talked nonsense.
But their biggest complaint was physical. The women claimed that coffee made men, how do we say this politely? It made them unfruitful.
They wrote that because of this drying, enfeebling liquor, their husbands had lost their stamina in the bedroom. They called their husbands useless as a dried sausage.
It was a public scandal. The men actually wrote a response called the Men's Answer, claiming that coffee actually made them more powerful.
This gender war over coffee continued for years. Eventually, the rules changed and tea became more popular in homes, allowing men and women to drink together.
So coffee had conquered religion. It had conquered society. But there was one place left to conquer: the New World, the Americas.
Today, coffee is going on a dangerous journey. It is leaving Europe to conquer the New World.
But getting a coffee tree across the Atlantic Ocean was not easy. The French king, Louis XIV, had a coffee tree in his royal garden in Paris. He loved it and he guarded it closely.
A young French naval officer named Gabriel de Clieu had a vision. He believed that the Caribbean islands would be perfect for growing coffee.
He asked the king for a cutting of the tree. The king said no.
But Gabriel did not give up. One night, he broke into the royal garden, stole a small coffee plant, and ran away to his ship.
The voyage to the island of Martinique was a nightmare. The ship was attacked by pirates from Tunisia. Then a terrible storm nearly sank the ship.
The glass case protecting the coffee plant was smashed. Gabriel had to repair it. But the worst danger was thirst.
The ship ran out of fresh water. Every sailor was given a tiny ration of water each day, just enough to survive.
Gabriel was dying of thirst, but he looked at his small, wilting coffee plant. He made a heroic decision.
He shared his precious water ration with the plant. He drank half, and he gave half to the tree. Finally, let us look at the United States. Why do Americans drink so much coffee?
It started with politics. Before 1773, Americans loved tea, just like the British. But then, the British king put a heavy tax on tea.
The Americans were angry. They threw the tea into the harbor in the famous Boston Tea Party.
After that, drinking tea was considered unpatriotic. If you loved your country, you drank coffee. Coffee became the symbol of freedom.
But the final push came from war. During the Civil War and World War II, soldiers needed to stay awake.
The army did not care about taste, they cared about speed. This led to the invention of instant coffee.
It tasted terrible, but it was easy to carry, and it kept the soldiers fighting. Coffee became the fuel of the American army.
So, the next time you sip your morning coffee, think about its journey.
Think about the dancing goats. Think about the smuggler's beard. Think about the sailor who shared his water and the secret seeds in the bouquet of flowers.
Your cup of coffee is full of history.
Thank you for listening to this Slow English series. We hope you enjoyed the dark history of coffee.
Goodbye.